What's going on, guys? For today's not MOOC review but magazine review, we're taking a look at the November 2023 issue of Hobby Japan here, so a very recent issue. And this issue is going to have a focus on paint, which you can see right there on the cover, and some cool Gundam models in there. So we'll see, of course, a typical filler in these monthly magazines of a lot of just advertisements for all sorts of new model kits and figures and all kinds of stuff coming out. That'll be kind of the latter half. But the first half will have some really cool, interesting stuff here related to Gundam models, in particular with some very recent releases as far as Gundam models go. So let's go ahead and check this out. I like checking out these monthly magazines from time to time. I don't like them quite as much as like your MOOCs, where it's like all good material and less of the filler, but these do sometimes have some really interesting stuff in them. So we'll go ahead and check this out. If you guys are also interested, I'm doing kind of like a double feature this weekend, uploading 2 magazine reviews. If you guys also want to check out this issue of armor modeling, I'll be having a video going up at the same time about this one as well. So make sure if you're interested, you can check out this video. Also, obviously this one is to do with armor modeling, but a lot of those same techniques and stuff that you see in this magazine can also be applied to your mecha modeling, whatever else you guys might be interested in doing. So check that out. Right, so yeah, as you can see here from the cover, the theme of this issue is going to be paint, and particularly water-based paint. So if you guys are maybe in a situation where you can't use like lacquer paints or anything that's going to be too toxic, if you don't have proper ventilation in your painting space, working with water-based paints is a great way to be able to paint and then not have to worry so much about proper ventilation. Good ventilation, at least decent ventilation, is always recommended for any type of painting, but at least with water-based paints, it's much less of a concern. You can see a couple of examples here on the front, the EZ8, the Destiny Gundam, right? I guess that is right. A very interestingly painted Destiny Gundam there. I think that would be the RG. That's certainly a custom build there. And you can see this is number 11, being the November issue for 2023. Pretty standard thickness here, being pretty thick, going up to all the way to 390 pages, almost 400 pages here. For a nice thick issue, with the list price on the back, MSRP being 1,100 yen. So very reasonable. If you're in Japan and like able to go to the store and pick these up for basically less than 10 bucks, they're not too bad to pick up maybe once a month. Or again, if you're like me, I don't buy every single month of these, only when it's particular issues that I know will have stuff that's interesting for me that I want to check out, because yeah, again, maybe like a third of that, I mean, it's still, even a third out of almost 400 pages is still a good, like at least 100 pages worth of interesting material that I'm interested in looking at. Is worth it enough if I know there's going to be something interesting in here, but not always the subject material in here is not always going to be of particular interest to myself. So from time to time I pick them up. Let's get cracking here on the first couple pages, advertisements for new stuff coming out. A lot of different interesting things there. I'm just gonna kind of let you guys look over all of that. I'm gonna try to focus most of the video here on the substantive material and not so much pointing out like all the different advertisements in here, but I am happy to see the Kuster there, or the Krote actually. Well, I guess you can make it as the Kuster or the Krote. That's actually not a model kit, but a figure. So I believe it's 120 scale, right? Or maybe it doesn't have the scale, but it does have the height at 210 millimeters, so 21 centimeters of height. So pretty good size. I guess that's probably similar to the 120 scale kit, but very expensive, but looks awesome. A really awesome kind of figure there. Basically, if you can imagine like a metal build Machine & Krieger figure, essentially. They've made a couple of those before, but that one looks really nice. Some other different Hobby Japan ebooks information. So some of these books, this one we've actually taken a look at before, is available as an ebook. You guys have been asking me in the past if any of these are available in English. Sometimes, rarely, we get English versions that are available, and the English versions are only as ebooks. I've never seen any of these translated in like physical form available in English, but Hobby Japan does occasionally make English versions of their books, and you can get them, I think, off of like Amazon. But yeah, it's unfortunately very few and far between. Here we've got our table of contents, and let's get into it with some more advertisements. So more table of contents here, more advertisements for some very interesting looking kaiju figures there. Some 5-star stories at the bottom as well. We've got the Gundam Epion, of course, with the RG Epion out. I'm sure we're going to see a little bit about that in here as well. And there we've got the Destiny model kit that we saw on the front So an introduction here is going to break it down to, looks like a few different segments. One kind of just like introducing the paint, airbrushing the paint, hand brushing the paint, and top coat in there as well, I guess. All right. Yeah, it's a cool paint scheme there. Very unique, interesting paint scheme. I feel like I've seen this build before somewhere else. Maybe I've just seen it on Twitter, but I feel like I've seen this in a different book before. I'm not sure. But again, with everything in Japanese, there's going to be a lot of interesting text in here that, of course, just for the sake of time, I'm not going to be able to explain about like everything in here, but it looks like a lot of really cool stuff at first, just kind of going over the basics of like what is acrylic paint and how can it be used and how is it helpful. It's a little bit here going over about like how acrylic paint can be used in conjunction with other different types of paint, enamel and lacquer paint, for example. Always good to know. You can see a couple of examples. It looks like maybe these are a couple of the different examples that we're going to see in here for this section, all which look very cool. We've got the Sosai Shoujo Teien girl here with this very nicely custom painted dress that looks really cool. The Mari Illustrious kit there, we took a look at that recently. The Plamax model kit, the Artpla Evangelion kit, which I will have coming on the way. I don't have it here yet, but I do have one of those on the way. I'm really looking forward to checking that one out. That's going to be fun. Definitely going to be one to hand paint that one. And the Dogram kit there from Max Factory as well. So an introduction to acrylic paints of different varieties. These look like mostly Mr. Hobby aqueous and acrisian paints. I'm not actually really too sure what the difference between their aqueous line and their acrisian line is, and so this would be something to maybe go through with the translator app on my phone, try to figure out in here some information about like what actually is different with these lines. But I've not actually used them. I have tried like the aqueous paints like once. I tried hand painting it and it just wasn't working for me, so I just immediately gave up. I should probably try it again. I'm sure it was not the paints issue, it was just my own. I just don't have the background knowledge experience to know like how to do it properly, I think. But interestingly, this looks like it's actually based off of the HG Revive version, not the real grade, even though it does look quite detailed. As I was kind of looking at that, I was thinking a lot of that detail looks like custom detail, and just the general proportions of it look better than the RGs, which I don't really think personally, and maybe some of you guys agree, I don't think that the RG Destiny is the best looking version of the Destiny by any means. The HG Revive definitely a better looking one, although not nearly as detailed, but it looks like in this case they've gone ahead and add some more detail in it. It's definitely a lot more like color separation and like armor separation with the panel lines and everything in there. Looks really, really nice. So we've got the before and after pictures over here, which looks like just kind of before and after the modification of adding details into it by either adding panel plot plate onto the top of the armor panels and or scribing using some different scribing tools here, and then getting into the painting. And it looks like for the way that this is painted, it looks like it's all hand painted, which is interesting. I would have expected it to have been airbrushed, but it's all hand painted here. And it looks like what he's gone and done first is just kind of blocking out the colors because it does take a few coats. If you guys know anything about hand painting, especially hand painting acrylic paints, you know that it's all about kind of like building up coats. And so for the first couple of coats, you're just kind of like blocking out the colors kind of loosely, and then you can just kind of build up from there. And then that's continued on here to like the detail painting and everything. And then finally you get to the finished result, and then the finished result after doing your panel lining on there as well. And so with the kit being done in acrylics though, I guess that means that the panel lining would also have to be done in acrylics. Yeah, so he's got like a very thinned down brown paint to use for the panel lining for this, which I think looks great, especially on the gray sections of the wings there. You can see how it's like harder to see on some of the other colors that the panel lining is done in brown, but especially on the gray, like lighter sections of armor, you can see that the panel lining is not in like your typical gray or black, but that brown does look really nice there for that. So really cool finished results with the decals on there and everything as well. All right, then we've got a bit here about, this looks like the special Linkle Planet special colors, which I think are all pearl colors, or it's just the white is pearl white. No, I think they're all like metallic pearl in colors, basically red, yellow, green, blue, and white, but in pearlescent colors. So it looks like that's what's been applied here onto this HG Witch from Mercury Calibarn kit, for example. And I'd seen about these, I didn't remember seeing that they were acrylic based though, so that's interesting. But looks like these are airbrushed onto the kit basically as a way to showcase these new kind of special limited paints that I'm sure are probably going to be pretty difficult to get your hands on outside of Japan. Even though they are Mr. Hobby paints, so even like Mr. Hobby is probably one of the easier paint brands, easier Japanese paint brands to get outside of Japan, being that these are kind of like limited ones. I don't know if they'll be distributed quite as widely as just like standard Mr. Hobby paints, but anyway, they look pretty cool if you're wanting like some pearlescent colors there. All right, let's see what we've got here for this next little section is just about doing some more hand painting on a couple of these models here, the HG New Gundam and HG Zaku F2 it looks like, to make this kind of like a custom that's like the 0083 version of the Zaku F2 that has its like two-tone color there. Here you've got the finished result, and both of those models looking really, really cool. As you guys know, I love the Zaku F2, so happy to see that. Next up, the HG UC EZ8. And this one, it looks like, is dealing with just using some weathering paint gouache on here rather than painting the whole kit, just using like the base kit because it's already kind of molded in all the correct colors anyway for the most part. It doesn't even look like he did any additional painting of any of the details. It's basically just all weathering done on it. So first just doing like panel lining on it. I think this is also after sticking on some decals on there. But putting the decals on, then doing some panel lining, then top coating, and then some more weathering gouache to add some more dirt and weather effects and just kind of dirty all up the whole thing. And then how to do like streaking on it with the dirt that you've added on there. Going back in, adding some more kind of panel lining in and around some like the darker areas in like some of the vents, like in on the knee, kind of in inner detail areas that need to be a bit darker and more shadowed in particular. Adding some kind of like rust effects on some of these parts as well with like a reddish brown kind of color. And yeah, again, very interesting. Just kind of basics of doing your weathering with acrylic paints there as well. Now this one's using some Tamiya acrylic paint here on this Sazabi. Very cool looking kind of Kondo style paint scheme here on the Sazabi with the ground camo and kind of has like a dot pattern on it there as well. It's very interesting. This one looks like this is going to be hand brushed or airbrushed. I'm not sure. It's actually just this one page there for the Sazabi, and then we're kind of just moving on to some more Tamiya paint work here done on the Dougram kit there, which looks really, really cool. That looks nice. Some nice texture and effects there around on that one. We got some kind of more continued work on that, so it's more than just like a single couple of pages there. The base painting work, and then some further weathering and effects added here on that on the next couple of pages. So very cool brush painting and a spray booth. So yeah, like I said, even though you're using acrylic paints, it's still a good idea to at least have some kind of ventilation. So having a proper spray booth is a good idea to have. We've got some other different paints here. Of course, model color paints from Vallejo. There is probably going to be some MIG paints or something else in here, as well as there's a number of different paint brands that make acrylic paints, not only the Japanese ones. Here we got a really nicely painted scope dog there as well. Some really cool equipment added onto that. Not sure which version of the scope dog this is that doesn't look like any model kit that I'm familiar with. That almost looks like maybe that's one of the Tomitech. No, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that. But anyway, so it's using some Vallejo paints here on this, painting with airbrush, and then also hand brushing as well. So like a combination of doing airbrushing and hand brushing. I forget English is hard sometimes. I forget the word I'm trying to think of for that. It's not fusion, but what's the word? Hybrid style painting. There you go. So yeah, hybrid painting of it being partially airbrushed, partially hand brushed. Hand brushing in a lot of these like smaller details in there, for example. Of course, much easier to do for the wide open spaces like on the outer armor, easy to just airbrush that. But then for the small details, hand brushing those in. Okay, then doing some painting here on this Sosai Shoujo Teien kit. This would be the summer beach version of Koyomi Takanashi. This kit there with just the plain white dress, perfect for painting on because it's already just plain white. And he's painted like this floral pattern on the dress, which looks fantastic. It's really, really nicely done. Definitely a great idea because again, just it being already pure white, very easy to just paint a pattern onto. So just really simply and easily using some acrylic paints here. It looks like these are once again some Vallejo paints. And then also some paint to kind of make the face a bit more detailed here as well. So that looks really, really nice. Got a little bit here about some other different colors. Tamiya modeling brush, some different brushes, of course, very important. Some Citadel paints in here as well. Citadel may be less frequently used for like Gundam models, but certainly those of you guys, if you're interested in like Warhammer, like miniature painting, you're probably much more familiar with Citadel paints for that. Here we've got a nice HG Revive Impulse Gundam there, painted with some Citadel paints. Looks like we've got the Plamax Mare Illustrious kit here. This would be the just primed with surfacer version. I don't think they made a version that just comes in pure white. I don't believe so. It looks like they did, though. According to this, it looks like, just by the name of it, that it's in Sculptor's White. So I was not aware that they made just straight up plain white versions of these. That's very interesting, though. I'm not sure about that. Yeah, interesting. Again, something I'll have to look into. But definitely, if you're planning on painting the kit, I mean, with the kit being all molded in white, it gives you a nice base to work off of, rather than if it's, you know, like the regular color molded one. It's nice for if you're not painting, but if you are planning on painting, especially if you're planning on painting it in like different custom colors, you might have to deal with, you know, more primer, more surfacer to get like a good solid even base color. But I mean, with it molded in just white, it makes it very easy. And so this one, again, it looks like is a mixture of some airbrushing, or just like mostly airbrushing here for this interesting tutorial here on like how to paint the face in particular. That's like skin tone's difficult to do, but unfortunately on a kit like this, you have very little skin tone that you have to worry about painting, just basically there on the head. So some nice little interesting bits there about how to paint the skin tone on the face and how to paint the eyes even. So a step-by-step guide there for that. And some detail images of the finished result. Looks great. So yeah, really, really nice work done on that. And the Eva kit that I was talking about, so this is the Artpla kit here of the Eva 02. Really cool looking kit. I love the style and the design for this one. Looking forward to checking this one out. But this one, again, looks like it's in hybrid style, airbrushed at first, but I know I saw pictures of this work in progress. I think this is one of the reasons why I wanted to pick up this manual, or this issue, was because I saw the modeler posting photos of this on Twitter. So I wanted to check this out. You can see how a lot of the base painting was all done by airbrush, and then some additional work was done just by hand painting some of the details in here, and especially giving some more like color tone variety in on some of these parts there by doing some hand brushing. So really, really cool result. The finished product looks fantastic. I wish we had some more photos of that. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we have anything more than just kind of the one big photo right here, which is nice, and then a much smaller photo here on the next page to show the finished result, but that's kind of about it. Moving on into some more different products here, all sorts of different products that can be useful for doing your painting with acrylic paints, all kinds of different detail painting. And let's see, then top coating. So top coat, well, at least this page here for some top coat. Painting some other different models here. It's kind of funny, I recently took a look at a similar airbrush that had a kind of mini compressor just attached onto the bottom of it. Yeah, not really recommended, but you can use that here for this aircraft model and for this Kotobukiya Nachin model there, for example. But kind of interesting custom cool paint scheme there for that. Here we got, of course, using acrylic paints for miniature modeling, probably what they're most commonly used for in terms of just like different sci-fi models. And then I think we're getting into like the new products section here. So here we got an introduction to the metaverse, characters and mobile suits, illustrations here for Bandai's new metaverse anime. And then the metaverse Gunpla, the two new entry grade kits here, the new item, the Gunpla new item information section here for the new P-Bandai version of the Lefrith there, the P-Bandai version of the Master Grade Epion. So not the RG. I'm sure we will see something about the RG in here at some point. But here we got an interview with Kunio Okawara about the new color schemes for the Freedom and the Justice in here for the real type color scheme versions of the Freedom and Justice. So that's kind of cool. I'm sure like that would be an interesting interview there to check out. Yeah. So here we've got the real grade Epion. Imagine there would be a pretty sizable section here about this. So got all about the RG Epion, some like interesting work in progress over here as well, showing some kind of, I want to say modifications, not necessarily so much modifications from what I can glean from this, more so just kind of like sharpening some of the details, especially sharpening the details like around on like the blade parts on the knees, the antennas on the head, for example. So just to make those parts like even sharper, but that looks really, really cool there. And some more finished photos of this, I want to say custom model, just customized in that it has a little bit of like kind of extra customization work done on it, but I mean like still in the original color scheme. But you can see the before and after shots right there. I mean the after this build, definitely a really, really nice looking build here of the RG Epyon. Having just recently built and painted it myself, you can see that there's a lot of really great work done in this, just especially to sharpen and refine some of those details in there. And being an RG kit, of course, it has a lot of detail built into it, so that's really cool. You've got the Advance of Zeta Reboot Hobby Hyzak. I really want to pick up one of these kits for myself. It's such a weird and goofy cartoony design and color scheme for something that's especially like an Advance of Zeta design. So there's like a lot of familiar Advance of Zeta elements to it, but it also looks very out of place for Advance of Zeta, to be honest. But just because of the fact that it's an Advance of Zeta kit, I would like to get my hands on one. I don't have one secured yet, but I'm going to try to see if I can at some point, see if I can get one for myself, and I'll definitely check it out and review it and share that with you guys. But yeah, very interesting release here for this one. It'll be interesting to see what else they make kind of after this, but yeah, I really, really want to check it out. This is a really great looking custom build of it. Here you can see, I think this is the before and after there, so a lot of great work done on that build. Nice big, what is it, 4 pages here we got dedicated to this new release, so you can definitely tell that there's some love and admiration for the Advance of Zeta series here. That looks great. And the Camphor Schwer, I did recently take a look at this. I did a build and review and live build of the Camphor Schwer. Cool kit. Definitely, you guys had a lot of mixed opinions about this kit, though. There's a lot of you guys that seem to be kind of disappointed with it. Overall, I liked it. I think I was happy with it. It's not perfect. It's not like the best master grade I've ever built, but I think it has a really cool style to it, and it's really cool to see it in here. Because we do have a little bit, although not very much, a little bit of kind of like work in progress over here, just to kind of show, again, just sort of like refining some of the details essentially, but some nice little work in progress bits, which definitely give me some ideas. I really, really want to paint this kit, I'll tell you guys. I'm not going to promise that I'm going to paint it, because I've already, like, I feel like probably at the very least half the time, probably more likely more than half the time when I say, I'm going to paint this kit, or I want to paint this kit, it doesn't actually happen. So I don't want to promise to you guys that I'm going to paint it, but I do have the kit. After the review, I set it aside into my stack of, I want to paint this kit soon. So it's there. If I actually get to painting it soon, I'm not sure, time will tell, but I hope to, because I like it, so it's cool. We got the Gundam Ariel plus Mirasol flight unit over here. This is just not necessarily anything new, it's just a custom build, looks like, of that particular kit. The Ariel, this would be, yeah, it's the 1/44 scale. So it's not even like a scratch built Mirasol flight unit for the full mechanics kit or anything. It's just the HG with the flight unit. But again, looks really cool. Let's see, there's definitely some custom work done on this one in here as well. Again, some really interesting detail work done in and around the torso, the head. So that looks really interesting here. You can see some more around the leg. Looks like even lengthened the leg a little bit kind of challenging to do just based on the design of the leg, but that looks cool. This is another reason why I wanted to pick up this issue, because I knew there was going to be a Psychomu System Zaku. This is the Gundam Thunderbolt version. I'm not too really sure what's different about the Thunderbolt version compared with just the regular MSV version. But anyway, I love this design. I really, really hope that we will get a model kit of, like, a newer, proper model kit of this at some point in time. There is the old 80s kit, which I'm sure is what is used for the base for this kit. There you can see, that's not box art there, unfortunately. That's just the cover art for the Thunderbolt manga issue there, which features this on the cover. So because this was featured in the Thunderbolt anime briefly, and it's in the manga, I'm hoping that we may get a proper like HGUC kit of this at some point. I really hope so. It's a cool design, and you see, like, I think it has a lot of fans, because you see, if you like spend any time on like Twitter following different Japanese modelers, there's definitely modelers that go to like great lengths to make like really nicely done custom builds of this, because it's such a cool, unique, and interesting design. that I think there would definitely be plenty of people that would be interested in checking it out as like a nice new like proper HGUC kit. It would be cool. I hope so. I think it's likely, more likely than some things, but it's probably not super likely. But I'm hoping that we'll see a nice new kit of that at some point in the near future. All right, another kind of really interesting build here. This is also using some old 80s kits. So 80s kits here of the Jim and a Zaku. You also can see a Zigok over here. But I'm not really sure if the Zigok made it into the final version. It doesn't look like here, but this is maybe just some options he was playing with for like what to do with these old kits. Ultimately went with the Jim pointing a gun at a Zaku sitting down on the ground. It's kind of very interesting diorama, but this is definitely good information for you guys to keep in mind for the upcoming contest, where we are going to have an old to gold contest in the future, just as something to keep in mind, guys. So the theme of that contest is going to be basically doing something like this, taking an old model kit from the 80s and making it into something really cool. In this case, there's a lot of steps in here laid out, which is really cool to see. To ultimately get to the diorama, which unfortunately we don't really have any other photos of other than this first photo right there. When it gets to the end, it's just like a setup for the diorama, and that's it. So I'm not sure if maybe there's more of this that's cataloged in maybe a different book or something, but that'd be cool to see if it was. For this next section, this is a section out of the Whimsical Gunpla Production Notes, which is a book series, which I have done a review of one of the books in that series, although I'm guessing that this is maybe from a future issue, or maybe this is not going to be something that's going to be in one of the books, but just this says it's volume 10, so maybe this is something that is just occasionally featured in the Hobby Japan issues, I guess, maybe. This is really cool in that it's like an actual full armor, whereas a lot of people have joked a long time about the full armor unicorn not actually having any additional armor. I guess it has the additional shields, but otherwise it doesn't have any more armor than like the regular unicorn. It's mostly just adding a bunch of armaments onto it. Whereas this one, this custom build actually adds some more armor onto the chest, the front of the shoulders, the front skirts, the side of the legs have these like additional like armor booster sections on there. So this would be kind of something I think we would more traditionally think of when we think of like an actual full armor version of a design. This version of the unicorn. So really cool custom build there of a full armor, a true full armor unicorn. Okay, here we go. Very interesting, a candy chocolate gun tank there. The illustration anyway. And some future releases here. I think these are just some future figures that are going to be coming out. I think this is all Mega House stuff here on this page. Now we're getting into some more advertisements. This is all Robot Damashi stuff that's coming out, metal build stuff that's coming out. A lot of really cool stuff, especially the version anime figures there, like the MSV Gelgoog cannon there. That looks really awesome. Some very unique stuff here, like the Anchor Gundam again, for example, the metal build version of the Kemper, which is coming out. It's kind of a very recent announcement. That looks cool. Some of the different candy toy stuff that's coming out here as well, like the, what was that? Yeah. It's the G-frame, I think it's like a space type of the Camphor or something like that, where it's like the Camphor, but it has like the shoulders and the backpack, which are very similar to like the Gerbera Tetra. But yeah, really interesting, unique design version of the Camphor there, and some other different, this is also G-frame and Gundam Converge, and I think these are mobility joint figures here, some other different kind of candy toy stuff that's coming out. Then we've got our fold-out poster, which on this side, the really nice poster there of the God's Order characters, Yuri Godbuster and Megumi Asmodeus, which I have done a review of the Yuri Godbuster, and I do have the Megumi kit, and we'll be building and reviewing that one in the near future. But that's some pretty awesome artwork there on that side. This would be one of those ones where you get the poster and you just really have a hard time deciding which side you would rather have up on your wall. This one, or this side, which has the prototype Double Zeta Gundam. A lot of you guys have seen this maybe going around recently. It's kind of a new artwork design here, but a really cool kind of take on the prototype, a prototype of the Double Zeta Gundam would look like. So that's really cool artwork here from Katoki-san there as well. And the reason for that artwork is because they're making a Gundam fixed figuration of that. So the fixed figuration prototype Double Zeta Gundam is also on the way. We've got a section here about this. And yeah, it looks like a really, really cool design. It would be great to see a model kit of this. I don't think that's likely, but I do actually, I prefer this design more than the actual like Double Zeta Gundam itself. So I would love to see a model kit of this, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's just going to be a fixed figuration, and that's probably it, but it would be cool to see a model kit of that. Okay, what's next here? These are advertisements for some different books, a Gundam Weapons issue, a Gundam Forward issue, some of the different MOOCs that are coming out from Hobby Japan. Some fun here with some candy toys. These are the Mobile Suit Ensemble Gundam candy toy figures here. We got a Kyokai Senki side stories section here, where this looks like it's maybe a short kind of story anyway. Like a novelization, but just obviously not a full novel, just like a kind of chapter of a novel, essentially, of this side story, and kind of like a photo novel in that we have like photos here of some model kits kind of playing out, I guess, like the scenes from the story. They've got all here in Japanese, of course, and then we're going to see those models featured. This is the Goyo Custom. Really kind of cool to see that the Kyokai Senki series is continuing on in some way, as honestly some of these more recent designs, even though they look like kind of a mix-up of Kyokai Senki and 30 Minutes missions at this point, which I'm all for. I think some of the more recent ones, what I was going to say, is like some of the best looking designs I think that they've had out in the line so far. This is based off of the Meles Proto Goyo and made into the Goyo Custom here. Really, really cool to see a very interesting, well-made custom build of that again, yeah, looks kind of just as much 30-minute missions as it does Kyokai Senki, but still a lot of very familiar elements there to the Kyokai Senki line. We've got the Byakuchi X over here, another custom build made, it looks like by a mix-up of a couple of different things there. You can see kind of highlighted at the bottom. But again, really cool custom build. So it's great to see some really nicely done custom builds here from this series that has had a lot of kind of mixed opinions. I think at first was pretty well received and people were pretty hyped on it because the models were really cool and unique. But then I think the hype ultimately kind of died down quite a bit. At least that's kind of my perception of it. I don't know if you guys, am I wrong? Do you guys think that I'm wrong in that? But got some more here about the story, the character, some of the custom weapons, which are actually available out in the custom weapons set for the HG kits if you guys want to check those out. Hobby Mechanics issue 11 there. Hello, VFAM. I think that build is actually by Naoki, I believe. Section here on Synduality. That's another series. I've not built any of the Synduality kits yet, and I'm not that big a fan of the designs, I'll tell you guys. But this one also looks to be like a kind of Synduality side story, kind of chapter of a side story novelization, sort of, basically. But have you guys built any of the kits yet? What do you think about them? Let me know. Should I check them out? I'm just not that really into the design, I'll tell you guys. But I don't know. This one as well. I mean, it's a little bit more interesting. The Gilbo here. But I don't know. Should I check them out? They're worth checking out? Or, I mean, I don't know. Just the designs don't really do a whole lot for me. This one's kind of interesting though. The Gilbo here. It's a custom build there of that. Very unique weapon there for that. Definitely. But yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Unique is good. Unique's always good. But doesn't, unique means that it's going to be to some people's taste and maybe less so to others. So after that Synduality section here, it's the 40th anniversary of Votoms. So there's a lot of Votom stuff happening recently. Obviously, Bandai's got their new HG Votoms kit out. And we'll probably see a lot of different Votoms things out these days. So this is all about Bandai's new HG kit. A nice section here, just kind of going over what looks to be just not even a fully painted kit. It looks like, I think this is just pen-aligned and top-coated, essentially. Maybe, well, I guess the actual scope on the face is silver, which is not on the stock kit. So maybe like that part's painted, but otherwise, I would guess that this is not even fully painted. But looks nice anyway, and that's really kind of about it, just because I think probably at the time when this came out, this kit was maybe not quite out yet, or just out. Moving on to some other new stuff coming out, Mazinger stuff there. We've got the All Japan Model and Hobby Show 2023, which was at the end of September, so that's obviously done now at this point, but a little advertisement there for that. The Motoroid Patlabor kit here, the Crabman High Leg. It's a really cool custom build here of this, of some Moderoid kits, the Crabman and the Patlabor kit down there like that in this very cool custom vignette. That's really nice, really interesting, really cool. Some more really nice photos here of this custom build of that. Really love the cloth effect there on the joints and how that's painted. That looks really, really good. The Reunite, Zephyr, and Magadora. Not really too sure. I think these are also Moderoid. Yeah, these are also Moderoid kits. And there's some more photos of those. It's getting into the much less familiar territory for myself. The Zendorg, another Moderoid kit here. This one modeled and described by Keisuke Watanabe. I haven't been doing a good job of pointing out who the modelers are behind some of the works that we've been looking at here in this issue, so I apologize for that. I usually try to at least make a mention of who the models are by, but it's the new Moderoid kit there. Advertisement for the Hobby Japan extra issue. It looks like this extra issue is going to be about 5-star stories, which is awesome there for you 5-star stories fans. And we've got the Regalt Heavy Missile Carrier type here. That kit is from, who was it that made that? Hasegawa, right? Yeah, Hasegawa, of course. So it's a new version of the Hasegawa Regalt kit there from Macross. Really nice painting on that. Just like the way that it's painted does look really, really cool. Really nice effect on that one. Some more Macross stuff over here. Yes, and advertisement for the new VFG Girl coming out from Aoshima. I've reviewed a couple of these before. What do you guys think about these kits? Those of you guys who are Macross fans, they're very much for anyone who's a fan of Mechamusume model kits and Macross. If you're a fan of those things, then you will love this series of kits from Aoshima. But they're pretty cool, pretty interesting. Honestly, they're a lot of work to review, so it's one reason why I find them kind of a bit difficult personally. But as far as kits go, I mean, like I said, if you're a fan of Macross, if you're a fan of like Mechamusume style, then these kits are awesome. But this is the new one that they've got coming out, which honestly does look pretty cool, I gotta say. I'm very tempted to check that one out. Macross Plus here. So it's like it's a new figure that's coming out, sort of like that Bandai Spirits line. What's the name? It's escaping me at the moment. But anyway, they're sort of like metal build, kind of deluxe figures. Anyway, some more figure stuff that's on the way from some other different Japanese series, which I have much less familiarity with. Looks like Power Rangers type stuff, that one. These are SMP Shokugan Modeling Project kits here, it looks like, that are coming out as maybe like a 2-set that you can get with the 2 of those. So that looks cool. If you guys want to check that out. Some more Shokugan Modeling Project stuff here. Very expensive models. Here we got the HG Super Robot Wars Daigengar. I have really enjoyed the HG Super Robot Wars model kit line. This one, though, is a little bit not to my taste, though, so I skipped over this one, but I'm really looking forward to the Hakabane Mark III, I think it is, right, is the next one they have coming out. That'll be really cool. We got this really cool looking car model here from Hasegawa, the matte vehicle with rocket launcher. Let's see, I'm not really sure what this is from. Interestingly, though, modeled and described by Garma Zabiko. You guys may be familiar with that name. Mostly well known on Twitter for obviously his Gundam modeling. What is the source material for this car? I don't remember. No, it's not something from Gundam. I don't think so, especially because it's made by Hasegawa, but I don't know, interesting. I don't remember, but it's a really cool model, like the painting and the styling done on that. It's very interesting. All right, then we've got the new Nachin tank here. This one modeled by Ken16W, again, another very familiar name. If you guys spend any time there on Twitter, so you can see some nice kind of custom modifications here done on like the claws, for example. This is another one that I've got here. I'm ready to build it, and I'll be building this kit and sharing that with you guys very soon. I'm really looking forward to checking out this new version of the Nachin, the Roku there. He's added like a custom trailer with some other different stuff here on it. That's obviously not something that comes with the kit, but a cool customization is something to add there to the Roku. And the character models, those are from other different sets, actually, from Art Plus sets, I believe. That's what those are from. But really great modeling here done on this one. Ken16W does some fantastic work. We've got some really cool Hexagear build here as well. It's like custom build of some Kotobukiya Hexagear stuff, a governor, and a customized, I don't really know what to call it. I'm not even sure what the base kit is that's based off of. Looks like it's based off of like the Ray Blade kit. basically, essentially, but made into like a very interesting custom build. We've got the 30 minutes missions modeling archive. So I guess that's like another MOOC that's coming out. Interesting. I've not seen anything about that. I'll definitely have to check that out. It looks like that's coming out, or it came out at the end of September. So it's already out. Let's check it out. All right, and we're still only about halfway through the MOOC here. So I'm just gonna speed through a lot of the rest of the stuff here just because, like I said, got some really cool Zoids. You know, these are different versions of the Liger that I guess are variations of the new Tamashi, like the, again, I don't remember the name of it, but the sort of like metal build of the Liger from Tamashi anyway. So different versions of the Panzer, the Jaeger, I believe is that one. So anyway, I guess these are maybe different versions that are going to be coming out available for that. I'm not sure. Anyway, that looks really cool. The High Metal R frontline version here of the Scope Dog as well. That looks interesting. We've got the 30 Minute Sisters MOOC. This one we did already take a look at. That was a great MOOC. That one also just recently came out. I think that was last week, I believe, or 2 weeks ago, the MOOC review. So we did take a look at that. Awesome MOOC there if you guys are fans of 30 Minute Sisters. Did I say 30 Minutes Missions a minute ago? 30 Minute Sisters. Anyway, here's a little section from that MOOC. So we kind of already saw this in there, but definitely worth checking out. Section here about the God's Order kits here, it looks like. So like we saw in the centerfold poster, this is about Megumi in the line, the second kit out in the line. So like I said, kind of fairly recently released. It's been out for a little while. I'm kind of behind, but I need to get around to building and reviewing that one there for you guys. But here's the kind of section showing off a very nicely painted build of that. And again, what's nice is about not all, but a lot of the painted builds featured in here are featuring at least a couple of work in progress photos, which are nice to see, just to kind of see like the backside of the shield, for example, how it's basically just almost all one color and then custom painted to look so much nicer there in that finished result. And also the Gridman character here, Akane from that series, another kit that I've just recently built and reviewed. And I mean, depending on whether I'm uploading the review of that kit first or this MOOC review first, either you guys have maybe already seen this review or it will be coming immediately after this video. So I just earlier today recorded the review for this kit, so you guys will either be seeing it very soon or you've already just seen it. But a really cool kit there as well. The second kit out in that line from Analyst there from Gridman is with Rika, the first kit out in that line. So those were cool. An advertisement here for Kotobukiya's new Megalomaria series that's coming out. Really looking forward to that. I think that's going to be a really cool series of new kits from Kotobukiya. We've got the X Plus, I was going to say figure. This is actually a model kit here, 1/8 scale plastic model kit of the creature from Revenge of the Creature. So definitely, if you guys are into like old movie stuff like this, it's a cool model kit to check out. Also from X Plus, they have a Marilyn Monroe model kit. And it looks like this monster creature is also going to be a model kit out coming out next year. So that'll be cool. And then they have a new version of their Metropolis model kit as well that's coming out that has basically the addition. Well, it's like in a sitting pose instead of a standing pose, and it has like these effect kind of rings around it there with like the wires and everything, again, just to recreate the scene from the Metropolis movie. So some really cool model kits there if you guys are into like old movie stuff. X Plus is making some cool model kits. Got some Godzilla -1 stuff here. Obviously the new Godzilla movie that's out, so there's going to be a bunch of new products out from Godzilla -1. Got some other different kaiju stuff here, like I said, that we saw kind of earlier on. More 1954 Godzilla, Monster Theater stuff here. Tools, here is an advertisement for the new nippers that are coming out that have the swappable blade, so that you can just change out the blade on the nippers if they get damaged or dull or something. These are the Sustainable Nipper Advance nippers here from Plamo Kojo, I think was the name of the company, right? All right, let's see what else we got. This is a whole bunch of other different stuff that's coming out. New kit review stuff from Kotobukiya. Other companies here as well. Aoshima's new axe, new version of the Mechagodzilla, for example. New Artpla stuff, new kits there. I believe those are new stuff from Volks, 5-Star Stories, and parts for their Vlockers line, which we saw here on the backside right there. So a bunch of new stuff coming out here, obviously. Let's see if there's kind of anything else too much more interesting. The Fireball SG, that's not all that interesting. No, of course, I'm very interested to see this. It's cool to see this big feature in here of the new, a new version of the Fireball coming out from Wave, the Fireball SG kit. So we've got a couple of different painted examples here of this. Modeled and described by Max Watanabe and Koyokoyama-san. So really great to see those in here, and a couple of pages dedicated to those kits, and even more, so even on the next page. So nice to see a good segment here dedicated to some cool Machine and Krieger models. So there's a few bits there. Even going on to this, which is the Art Plus. That's, the Art Plus 1/35 scale Crote or Kuster, kit there. It's a 2-set kit. Just a little bit about that. This new item review here of the Weltram, or the PKA Weltram kit, a couple of other new Machine Krieger kits that are on the way, and let's see, the Artpla Museum, new Artpla 1/35 scale versions of the Grosserhund there as well, I believe, right? So some new really cool stuff coming out there in Machine Krieger, and we've got the return of the Puppet 2, so interesting military model diorama scene here. Wow, quite the scene. Very extensive, going all the way from up here and then all the way down to down here. A whole bunch of stuff here. Huge diorama. That's got to be, well, I guess it's probably 1/35 scale, so I mean like, anyway, huge, extensive in terms of that being like, let's see, at least maybe 12 different vehicle models there that I can see, and then they got like the building and everything else as far as like the train and everything, so there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. So that's pretty awesome. Incredible. More military model stuff here. And yeah, I just don't want this video to be too ridiculously long, but that's also kind of the trouble with reviewing these monthly magazines. Even though they're coming out every month, there's always just a ton of stuff packed in here. And even though a lot of this is just like advertisements, there's a lot of interesting stuff in here, like amidst the advertisements. So like this, for example, it's advertisement for this new kit, but we got some like painting, like weathering tutorials here thrown in the middle of that. So it's always a lot of interesting stuff to check out in these. I think this issue in particular did have quite a bit of really cool stuff in there about painting, especially with painting acrylics. Like I said at the start, like if that's something that you guys are interested in checking out, painting with acrylic paint, there's a lot of really cool stuff that you guys can see in here. So I'm just kind of like speeding through a lot of the military model stuff here as we're getting to the end. As you get towards the end of these issues, the advertisements get teenier and teenier, and then you get a lot of other like mix of all sorts of different weird things, like this looks to be sort of like a kind of alien cat skeleton. We got Buzz and Woody, Batman, and Saint Cloth stuff here. Square Enix products of a very interesting looking Final Fantasy 16 figure there. Interesting. There is, I believe, also going to be advertisements in here for like local groups or events. So usually it's like kind of back towards the very end. There should be advertisements for different like group event, meetup kind of things like that. That it's cool, like if you're in Japan and if you're able to, like if you were like living in Tokyo and you wanted to pick up this magazine for yourself, and you could find out that, hey, there's like some group event that's going to be happening maybe somewhere near you, for example. There will also be a section, as we're getting into it right now, I almost forgot that we should see a good section in here as well about just statues, like figure statues here. So for example, from My Hero Academia, and I'm sure we'll see all sorts of different stuff here from Persona. These are actually desktop armies, so these would be like actual articulated figures. We've got the Sandland statue here, and we'll see a bunch of different statue stuff, as well as probably advertisements, albeit very small. Bomber Girl. There are advertisements for some different garage kits that are going to be coming out as well, probably in here. So here's a few different things. Here we got Alice from Nikkei. As some of you guys may have heard by now, I am playing that game a little bit here and there. Some other different, what even are these? So Figure Japan Maniacs. So I'm not really sure if these are going to be coming out as statue figures that you can get, I guess. Not garage kits, I don't think. But there's a few different things in here. This is a custom build of the Plamax Max Factory Underwear Body Girl Jelly. this one here, but with this like custom clothing on it. That's pretty intense there. All the custom work done on all the clothing on that. This is another statue figure here. And so yeah, we're gonna have a bunch of these in here towards the end as well. As you can see, the majority of the issue and like normally is focused on like actual model kits, but there is going to be a fair amount in here as well. Of course, advertisements for just different scale figures, anime character figures of all sorts of different sizes and characters from all sorts of different series and everything. So a lot of really cool stuff there. Let's see, some more toys kind of like toy style action figures and things here. Some capsule toys, so what you can expect to see, like if you're going to be in Japan soon, you may see some of this stuff like in some of like the capsule machines. Soft vinyl stuff there. Some other different just kind of like anime goods and capsule stuff, all sorts of stuff that's coming out. So if you want to make sure to know about like what's going to be coming out, like if you had a trip planned to Japan sometime soon, it might, and like you wanted to know about like what's new and going to be available before you go ahead of time, picking up an issue of this magazine, you know, like 1 or 2 months ahead of time might be a good idea, because then you'll know all about everything that's going to be coming out and going to be available at that time. So there's like shop news here, and yeah, and like the last few pages is all just going to be black and white advertisements for all sorts of different stuff. And I feel like there's some interesting stuff in here, probably how to build Max Watanabe. So I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stuff, but considering how long this video is so far, I do kind of want to wrap it up here pretty soon. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff in here. Advertisements from different shops. So like if you like, this is for Jungle, for example, so about the different branches of the Jungle stores that you can go to, Try Hobbies stores, so different stores there, online stores and physical stores in and around Tokyo, probably most likely. All stuff there. Nomoken book series advertisement, Girls Unpanzer Master Modeling Guidebook, so another book review there for Girls Unpanzer. How to build 10th anniversary, I guess, here in there as well. So anyway, and Robot Damashi 15th anniversary here at the end there as well, with some Robot Damashi stuff. And yeah, that's it. So man, a lot of stuff packed into here. Like I said, it's almost 400 pages in length, so there's a lot of stuff in there with some really cool Gunpla works towards the beginning and information about painting with acrylic paints. All right, that's it for this MOOC review, guys. Thanks for checking out our magazine review, I guess it is, but thanks for checking it out with me. If you guys want to check out some more paints, tools, and supplies, and model kits, of course, check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. And as always, thank you all so much for all of your likes, comments, and making sure that you guys are subscribed. All your support, thank you so much. Till next time, hope you guys all have a great day. Bye, guys.